Well, good afternoon, everybody. So if you can't tell where I am, that is what I am doing today. So yeah, let you guys know how this goes. I got my GoPro with me, so that'll be fun. All right, you guys, so here we go. I'm about to do my first bungee jump in my last full day here in Auckland. Alright, you guys, so I just got back from bungee jumping. It's the first time I'd ever done that, and whoa. I didn't drink coffee this morning, and yeah, now I really don't need it. But so I'm gonna hang around the harbor. I've got another hour. There's a free walking tour, and after doing something expensive like a bungee jump, yeah, I gotta find a way to, you know, balling on a budget. So I'm gonna see if I can find more lunch specials down here. I've got an hour to kill, so get something to eat, and then yeah, it's about a 2.5 3 hour free walking tour, and I really can't wait to see what they're going to show me. I didn't really look into the itinerary too much because I wanted to be kind of surprised. So yeah, oh, this place looks good. Hamburgers. All right, you guys, so I just finished lunch, and now I'm waiting around, and whoa, there we go. So I'm doing a free walking tour, you guys. And this looks like the place I need to be. They're all right in front of me. So yeah, hopefully learn some about the city that I've been in for a week. Yeah, I guess I should have done this when I got here, but better late than never, right? Learn a little bit about this city, kind of the history and stuff like that. Yeah, looking forward to this.
Kia ora, hello, thank you, welcome again to Auckland City and to Auckland for walking tours. My name is Eva. Just want to point out Devonport, just over the water there. So that's that landmark just over to the left. So I always recommend Devonport for people to go and check it out. It's a really lovely, charming seaside village full of Edwardian colonial houses. So they actually have a protocol that you can't build any other houses than those. So that's what it is. You'll see lots of them. Yeah, and these mountains are all dormant volcanoes as well. Pretty much any hill in Auckland is a volcano actually. Beyond that, this is our youngest volcano called Rangitoto. This is this iconic silhouette shape that rises up behind it, and this exploded 600 years ago. Another island you can go and climb up, have a look at. And that's our navy, just there. That's it.
All of it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, don't really have much of a need for it. It's just there.
loving.
More symbolic, yeah. Just peace-loving hippies, really. So, yeah, we are standing on this great big wharf called Queen's Wharf, and that's Queen Victoria of England, on whose empire it was said the sun would never set. So how did it come to be that the whole of New Zealand was claimed by the British Empire? I'd like to share with you this little history, if you guys are ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you right back to the first inhabitants of this land. So the first inhabitants were supreme navigators from the South Pacific. These were Polynesian seafarers who left their bare coral atolls in the Pacific, seeking out a new home and a new frontier with resources. They were informed by the constellations, by migratory birds heading south, and by whale pathways and patterns. So they weren't sure exactly where they were going. This was a great feat of bravery to just head out on the horizon of the ocean on pretty rudimentary waka or canoes. And they arrived here in about 1200 AD, so that's about 800 years ago. There's been speculation about where our original Maori came from, but we can now identify that they came from the Cook Islands, so Rarotonga. Legend has it Kupe, one of the early chiefs who arrived here, he was travelling with his daughter out at sea, and she's the first person to lay eyes on something on the horizon. And she calls out, "Au, Aotearoa," which means land, a white land of a long white cloud. Aotearoa, the first name of this place, the Maori word for New Zealand. Land of the long white cloud. And often as today, there are many, many clouds in our sky, very volatile, changeable weather. You never know what's going to happen. A young woman called Jean Batten, and we have a photo of her here. She's a real icon in New Zealand. A lot of places are named after her. We have her name up there.
Aww.
So she experienced flying when she was a teenager, and she went on to do some incredible pioneering legs back in the early 1930s. She first flew with a man called Charles Kingsford Smith. Does that ring a bell for anybody? Charles Kingsford Smith is the name of the Sydney airport, so a pioneer of himself back in that day, and a great guy to know if you're harbouring a secret passion for flying. So she immediately fell for it. She went over to London and got her pilot's license, commercial and private, and then just tried to spend all her time up in the air. She set her sights on some pioneering legs. So she set her sights from London to Sydney. And at this time she'd actually strategically date gentlemen to help her get there, to help her fund for flights. So one young man actually borrowed enough money from his mother that he could buy her a plane. Has that happened to any of you guys? Happened to Jean. She was very, very determined and charming and beautiful. So she really got where she needed to get. So she achieved this return journey after a series of crash landings in 1934. She was 23 at the time. She wasn't the first person to do this, but it was her gender, her youth, and her beauty that garnered huge media attention. So she was splashed all over the papers in her day. She then set her sights on something that had never been done before, and this was from a flight from London to Auckland. Now, who's flown this recently or knows how long it takes? It's, yeah,
Like 2 hours?
yeah, it's how long?
I've got to do it in a couple of weeks. 30 hours.
Yeah, about 30 hours. I mean, it's one of the longest things you can make at opposite ends of the earth. So about 30 hours today. In Jean's time, 1936, it took her 11 days and 45 minutes. So this is a time where these pioneers are trying to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. She was the first person in the world to do this leg, as long a distance as it was. And yeah, an incredible feat of strength and bravery and determination. You can imagine Jean, she's been flying 11 days. with a few little breaks, but pretty exhausted. She's nearly reached Auckland. A crowd of 6,000 rushes to greet her, and she has this little plane, very rudimental technology. You know, she's checking out these dials, unfolding a map, checking the weather, you know, sticking her head out. And she comes into Auckland airport and she leaps out on the wing and rips off her helmet, shakes loose her hair. The crowd goes wild. Big star, huge celebrity, icon for New Zealand. If you didn't know, New Zealand really got involved in the war effort. In World War I, 10% of our population went over and fought. And in World War II, per capita, New Zealand lost more men fighting than any of our allies, and that includes France and Great Britain and America. So I think this is a characteristic for Kiwis about rolling up your sleeves and getting stuck in, helping out your mates. Now, a guy who really embodies all of these attributes is this guy up here, a sculpture on my left. His name is Lieutenant General Bernard Freiburg, and he's our most famous war hero in New Zealand. At least one of them, the most older one. Yeah. Before World War I, he was a dentist in Leuven, a small town above Wellington, but at the end of it, he was a recipient of the Victoria Cross and one of our most decorated war heroes. He won the first of 4 Distinguished Order of Service medals during the invasion of Gallipoli, 1915 in April. So he happens to be a champion New Zealand swimmer, and what he does, under the cover of darkness, before dawn and the morning of this invasion, he swims from their ship that is moored up, and he pulls with him a pontoon of flares, which he then sets up along the beach to act as decoys for the unfolding invasion. He then, alone and unarmed, he carries out a reconnaissance, and he's able to identify this large hidden Turkish army nearby. Quite advantageous, despite the carnage, the bloodbath that was about to ensue, particularly for the Anzac soldiers as they came ashore onto that Turkish beach and got shot to pieces. Amazing that he managed to survive that. We celebrate this time every year. We call it's our Anzac Day, and we all have it's a very ceremonial time, so we recognise what was lost. So he won the Victoria Cross during that same war, but of the next year in November 1916, during the Battle of the Somme in France. So he and his battalion had suffered some heavy losses. However, they still managed to capture the French town of Bucourt and hold it against a German counterattack. He's wounded 4 times by German artillery, and then he's eventually carried off on a stretcher from the front lines. He comes back to New Zealand. At the outbreak of World War II, he developed a heart condition, but he wasn't going to get left behind. He actually doctors up the papers. He gets stuck in again. Immediately a lieutenant, and he carries out campaigns across North Africa, Italy and Greece. Now, despite all of these great feats of courage and strength and bravery, my favorite thing about this guy is that his nickname is Tiny. Tiny, that's what his men would call him. Bizarre and kind of wonderful, I think. I think it's a fantastic example of our laconic, humble Kiwi sense of humour. So this is a little verse of a song that was sung for our Māori battalion. Our Māori soldiers took part quite significantly in the wars. They were 20% of our armed forces. So this is a song of blessing and safety and love. And I impart you with this on the rest of your travels or your move in to New Zealand, to Auckland. Our new neighbours, they're moving here. Yay. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Alright. E kiwi e rohara, o parirau he awhi mai, te hoko fitu atu toa, atu matau ainga e, aue, tōku rira.
you guys, Evie just totally knew so much about this city, and she's very passionate about Auckland and just New Zealand in general, and it was really cool to see. So if you guys are ever, you know, in a city, you're trying to look for something fun to do, a free walking tour is always a good way to go. It's not a, I enjoyed myself, so I gave her $20 and a sticker, and told her, you know, video will be up tomorrow so she can see herself. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm thinking about editing that video. I didn't get a lot of B-roll, but if it bothers you that it was kind of like a history channel, kind of like a lecture, I'm sorry, but I found it so informative and so cool to learn so much about this city. I've been in for a week, and yeah, it was cool to kind of see all the connection and understand why everybody here is so cool. But I think I'm gonna just hang it up here, you guys. Go back up and get this video together, and tomorrow I leave and go to Melbourne, so we'll see you guys tomorrow.